I think the concern that we all have to have is there's no reason for us to believe that President Trump and the people around him have that plan. They pulled out of the Iran nuclear agreement, saying that,
Just let's point that out. 3 years ago, we enjoyed diplomatic relations with Iran.
We had a nuclear agreement, we had a nuclear agreement that had rolled back their nuclear program. Frankly, Brett McGurk, who's with us, helped negotiate a prisoner exchange that brought some Americans home. We had some diplomatic channels. We still had a lot of tensions. But then what happened is President Trump pulled out of that nuclear agreement, saying that it would allow him to get a better deal and it would stop Iranian provocations, or at least mitigate Iranian provocations in the region. The opposite has happened. We're not even talking about the nuclear program, which is really the core U.S. national security interest. Iran has already restarted that program. In addition to being able to potentially unleash proxy attacks in places like Iraq and Lebanon, potential attacks on Americans around the world, we should be watching in the days and weeks to come what they do with that nuclear program. Do they accelerate their efforts to pursue a nuclear weapon? So President Trump has never demonstrated over the course of the last 2 years since he chose to go on this escalatory path, he's never demonstrated that he's thought through where this is headed. What's interesting to me, Ali, is that when he had the opportunity to take a shot inside of Iran, you'll recall I was actually sitting with you when this happened. The planes literally went in the air, they came back. He was clearly reluctant to get into another war in the Middle East. I wonder if he understands that killing Qasem Soleimani in Iraq is tantamount to taking a strike in Iran. The Iranians will see it the same way. They see it as an act of war. That's how they interpret it. They will respond. They've said they will respond. They always respond in these cases. And what worries me also, to maybe use the Vietnam analogy as well, they've been fighting for 15 years. They've been taking casualties in Iraq and Syria. We had 160,000 troops in Iraq at the height of the surge, and Brett was working on this at the time, and they were still undertaking these rocket attacks. So the concept that they're in a violent conflict with the United States is not new to them. And so I think President Trump needs to lay out very clearly, what are the objectives here? What are the strategy? How far are we willing to go here? Because the Iranians are going to respond, and then what do we do next? It may not be a conventional war right away, but if we keep going tit for tat like this, where does that lead? And we have no clarity from President Trump about where he's taking us.